Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
What time is it?
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Now Myers to win the league, yes!
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Werewolves of London.
Well, hello and welcome to the Below the Rim show, a show dedicated to the BBL. It's me, Pabs. Ads will be joining us as always. He's late, although he has messaged to say he's on his way. The brave-hearted, incredibly proud trophy finalist, Mr. Grant Young, is in the house. How are you, sir?
Good evening, all. Back from my travels to Berlin. If you saw my social, I was all over the Alba game versus Bayern Munich. It was phenomenal. So
That looked great.
I've caught up briefly with as much British basketball as I could on my way home. Less talking about my team, the better this weekend. And yeah, hi, Paul.
Mr. Nicholson is here as well, the media guru. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I didn't have a game this weekend. So I watched a bit of basketball, which was good. And I went to a retro toy fair. There you go.
Did you go in the end? The comic?
Yeah, perhaps you would know it as just a toy fair. But it was a retro.
Oh, you cheeky sod! You cheeky bastard! Well, you say that though, but you walk around there, and I've got the Millennium Falcon toy, and the Han Solo, and the Chewie that they have in there. That's how old I am.
You've just turned my joke into something serious. All right, fair enough.
In fact, there's some of it in here somewhere. So there's bits of it in here. We are going to change things up a little bit this evening. We'll talk about some topics and what went on across the course of the weekend in terms of BBL fixtures and whatnot. But we're going to throw the first part of the show over to something of a Q&A, really, with our special guest. We plugged it on social media this week, so hopefully you're aware. Mr. Joe Edwards is going to join us. He's here right now, the BBL's head of marketing and communications. Is that still the full title?
That is still the full title. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be on. Really looking forward to this.
Do you listen? Are you a listener?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'd say pretty much since I started at the BBL, it was you guys and Dan Routley's podcast were the two that I kind of picked up the most.
Oh, the Sunday Breakdown. Yeah,
the Sunday Breakdown. Yeah,
you couldn't get too bigger differences between two podcasts.
That's good. I love a bit of polarization, so it's all good. But yeah, really enjoyed listening to you guys since I started, and definitely informative and fun, and kind of it's normally in my car driving somewhere.
Good. Fun story, Pabs and Grant. Actually, we went to a marketing meeting up in, I don't know, somewhere far away from me, like everywhere is. But we went bowling afterwards as a little team jolly. Joe opens up his car, and all I hear is Pablo's voice. It's like you're in the trunk or something. But in fact, he was listening to the podcast. It threw me for a little bit.
Stuff. That is great stuff.
Yeah. And as for my weekend, was destroying a garden shed. And then I caught the Lions game last night and actually took my youth club. So I run a youth basketball club down where I live for about 80 kids now. And I took about 30 of them down to the Lions game as well. So yeah, it's good fun. Unfortunately, obviously, Gladys didn't come up with a W for that one, but it was to watch anyway, and the atmosphere down there is great too.
We won the main one. We won the one that mattered this week.
You won the semi-final.
Very true.
Indeed, the important one. Now, look, we've got a list of questions from our listeners. There's a couple of our questions woven into that. Do you, Mr. Nicholson, Mr. Young, Ads obviously is going to join us. Do you have any questions, burning questions that you need to ask before I get onto this list?
Yeah, very important one for me, actually. Can we get Pat the Dog verified on TikTok?
Say again.
Can we get Pat the Dog verified from TikTok? And can we get his dunk in the top 10 plays of the week?
I haven't seen his dunk, so we're going to have to review that one. And as for TikTok, I mean, I will do everything in my power to make him give him an official.
Me and Pabs have wanted Pat the Dog's dunk in the top 10 now.
So he does a customary dunk off a trampoline with fireworks every third quarter, between third and fourth quarter.
And if that's not a top 10 play, I don't know what is. I'm not
some of them are pretty spectacular.
I think half the problem is I'm not seeing them on the broadcast, so we've got to work on that.
All right. Watch this space. That's me. I speak to Joe enough. I'm going to leave it to you guys.
Good. Right. Let's. These aren't put in there on here in any particular order. There's a couple that are kind of subcategories because there are questions along the same sort of lines. But let's dive straight in, shall we? I will also add that I haven't written down who any of these questions are from, so apologies for that. But thank you very much for your questions, mainly from the Discord channel. There's a few come through the email. In fact, I'll have a look on the email while we're doing this. But are the league looking to develop partnership deals or looking for an outright sponsor for the league?
That feels like it's in one or the other. I guess an outright sponsor for the league is probably not a kind of commercially viable model, I would say. And actually, it's all going to be about finding, multiple partnerships that we can work with. Yes, we may have like a title sponsor or something along those lines at some point, but obviously we've got a lot of work to do before we get there. And we'll be looking to do various different partnerships with various different organizations. So there's broadcast partners, licensing partners, the digital side as well, and what we can do there with partnerships there. So I think there's a number of different partnerships we will go into as we grow the league to kind of deliver the commercial value that I guess the league deserves, frankly. I mean, I've been in the BBL. Well, I've been following the BBL since I was probably about 10 when I started playing basketball. PJ actually coached me, Paul James, when I was knee high to a grasshopper. No way. Yeah. Not that he remembers me, but that's fine. I'm fairly forgettable. Yeah, so I've been around it for a long time, and I'm really happy to be here as part of the league, and just I guess we've got to drive the commercial value of this league so that we can grow it. So there will be multiple partnerships, I imagine, in the coming years. Well, I need to know this. I'm interested in this initially. Who did you follow first coming into the league? So I was so I've always lived around this area. So for me, it was Bracknell Tigers back in the day. Nice. Yeah. So that beautiful orange kit. Oh, lovely. Every kid I knew back then was wearing that. With the tiger stripes. Yeah, with the tiger stripes. Big fan. I'm a big fan of that kit. Yeah. Obviously, I was Worthing Bears, so we were a bit rivals in terms of that, but I did always like the kit. Yeah. You may remember then. Well, the league was sponsored by, because this was another question that came in along the same sort of lines. Budweiser League, the Dairy League Dunkers League, the Carlsberg League, going back further. Yeah. So is that the kind of thing we're looking at somewhere down the line? I would imagine we will be looking at all those kinds of things. I mean, those are effectively title sponsors. Yeah. We've got various different ways of selling the league to potential partners. A title sponsor is very much just one way of doing it. And I think one of the things that we're really looking at is like, how do we drive media value for our partners going forwards? And there's many, many, many different ways. So, I think branded content is another big area that we'll get into as we go forward with the league. And again, that doesn't have to be big sponsors. That can be, lots of different partnerships that we go into to do those and specifically hone in on what that partner's looking for and how we can drive value for our fans through that content and that kind of stuff as well, whether it's entertainment or something a bit more educational, maybe. Nice. Okay. Is that would something like that? And this isn't one of the questions listed, so I apologise if I'm catching you off guard. But would something like that, a title sponsor or input from that, lead to some kind of
prize money structure? Because that's something the league's not, or that we're not evident of, the league having had over the past, a couple of decades at least.
Yeah, I think obviously prize money is something. Even in my previous role, so I used to head up marketing for something called Super League Triathlon, which is probably about as far away as a sport as you can get from basketball. But prize money was big in that sport, mainly because it was partly the way that the athletes actually made a living. And I think the structure's a little bit obviously different in the BBL, but prize money is being discussed, but I don't think we've got ourselves to a point yet where we've got anything in lockdown in particular. I mean, I think to put it into a little bit of context, I've been in role for like 6 months now, a bit over 6 months. Our new CEO, Aaron's been in for about 3 months. So you can imagine the amount of thinking and across all the different areas of the business that we've got to do. And obviously I just worry about my own little bubble, which is kind of marketing and media, and Aaron's got a whole load of other aspects to deal with. So I wouldn't say it's out of the question. It's just not really we've not really got to a point of any concrete thinking about how that might manifest itself. And absolutely, as I'm sure we're all aware, right, as more money comes into the league, which is what we're all hoping that will happen, then we want to make sure that is there to support the athletes, the players, the coaches, the teams and the clubs as much as we possibly can. So I think it will become part of it, but it's early days yet.
Not a question, just a discussion bit. I'm just really thinking it would just make massive difference, doesn't it? If you think about it, like if you're in the playoff race or you finish 8th or 7th, and then you got to take a trek up to, I don't know, Caledonia or Leicester or whatever, and going to cost every club a lot of money, doesn't it? And that's the reality of it is. And if there was, one day in the future that was available, then flipping heck, that makes one hell of a difference to clubs' mentalities of and that fight towards the sort of end of the season, right? It must do, surely.
Yeah, because also quite often playoff matches cost a lot. You organise them at short notice, and teams, regardless if they win, lose, home or away, they end up losing money because you might have like a few days turnaround.
Yeah, if you're in that bottom half for sure, and you haven't got maybe you haven't got any home fans or whatever, like you're in 8th, and let's say Caledonia finish top, and you trek all the way to Caledonia, and you get yourself beat, and then you come all the way back again. You're like, that was fun. But yeah, I guess then there's something to play for. It kind of
an incentivized league.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You look at how the NBA do it, and it's almost like, frankly, the prize money that the NBA are putting up for the players and the teams is almost like funny money to them. It's
irrelevant, isn't it? Yeah,
it does feel a little bit irrelevant, but I agree. Those sorts of things will make a big impact to the clubs and the teams at the moment. But I also think that we've all got to work together to draw the money into the league in various different ways. And prize money is going to help the clubs, but I don't think it should be the thing that the clubs like hang their hat on.
Very true.
To bring the money in. I think there's plenty of other ways that we can drive revenue, and the clubs can drive revenue.
Let's move on to the next one. A way to make the BBL and its clubs more marketable is merchandise, says the asker of the question. How can we ensure that clubs can maximise jersey sales and other merch if they don't have in-house resources to sell online? Tackle that first of all, because is that something you guys are looking to maybe centralise or?
Yeah, I think, at the moment we 100% want to make sure that basically people are buying merch, frankly, and it doesn't really matter how they're doing it, whether it's online, in the courts, in retail shops, which I think is a big opportunity for us that we've got to go and tackle. I think how that happens, how we kind of provide a kind of centralized solution for all the clubs is still, again, I'm probably going to say it's a lot in this chat, so sorry, but like it's kind of just the current status, but how that manifests itself is TBC really at the moment. But we're definitely want to find a way where really we're working with merchandise partners that can get our merchandise as far and as wide as we possibly can, online, in stores. The more people we can get wearing our gear, not only does it mean they've obviously got some affinity to the league and to the clubs, but it also is a nice big advert for when everyone's walking around, and it will drive more awareness for the league, which is really, really important as well. So, yeah, however we do open those floodgates, they're definitely gates that do need to be open one way or another.
Is this season the last season of the current Kappa deal?
Oh, don't know about that. Yeah. Unknown. Yeah, that was quite a specific one.
Throwing that one in there.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's you can ask all the questions. I just don't have all the answers. That's the reality of it. Some of this is not my department.
Was that your question? Was that your question? Was that sent in?
No, that was me. Just we were talking.
The main question about merch
sent in because there's another. There's a flip. There was a secondary.
Because my part on that is the question is quite interesting, saying that people don't have the ability or to do it.
Well, this was the second part of the question from somebody else that I didn't understand. Was that he said
you can open a Shopify account and just boom, you can sell your merch. You can do.
Well, this is it. You guys do, don't you? There are clubs that do, but whoever sent the second kind of part of the question is basically asked what's going on with merchandise. Are there plans to centralise it in the league? Replica Fest are a nightmare to get hold of unless you attend games. You cannot buy merchandise anywhere, but I don't think that's necessarily true.
That's got to be aimed at the clubs because
that's every club has the ability to do that, and a lot of times this is where we talk about minimum standards and how if one team doesn't do it, it reflects kind of bad in the rest of the game and the rest of the league.
Sure,
like I know, like for example, my club, we went for a full rebrand this year, and you were still able to purchase stuff with rocks on it. But then if you go to our club shop and then through their partner Greaves Sports, which is massive up in Scotland or Glasgow, you can purchase all the Gladiators Kappa teamwear.
Yeah,
like brilliant. And you guys have your stuff. And I get it that you've got to have minimum orders at the start of a season because of the risk and then the Kappa delivery time. But it's all possible with people who actually want to do it, because let's be honest, how many people you're down at the pavilions, stashed of people wearing club gear?
Everybody, I see it. I saw it today. I saw people in town today wearing it.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get a load of t-shirts printed either. It doesn't have to be jersey sets. T-shirts, hats, scarves,
jersey style t-shirts as well.
It's that cold up here today. I was wearing a branded hat. Is that cold? I was wearing my beanie hat today.
I mean, yeah, I think I've been to every. Well, I'm still yet to go to Plymouth to actually see a game. I know, but I've been down to see it at least 2 or 3 times beforehand. It's coming, Paul.
Yeah, it's lonely down there sometimes.
And I've also got to get up to see the Gladiators, which is somehow I've managed to pick the 2 teams on this podcast I haven't seen, which is probably not good going.
Don't worry, Joe. We're used to it. We're used to it.
We bookend the league, don't we, Paul? We bookend this league.
We get it.
I very much, I've had a real intention of making sure that I've gone to see a game day from every team this season. That is very much my plan. And so far, every team's selling merch. I've not seen a team not selling merch. I mean, admittedly, at the games. I'm not sure whether all the teams have got an online shop at the moment, but I mean, it's coming, basically. I think one of the things I'm really excited about is really what next season looks like. I think you're going to see some humongous changes, like visually, to the brand over the next over the coming months and into the next season, which I'm personally really, really excited about.
All right, next question. What is the main thing BBL clubs need to improve on in order to increase reach and sell out arenas more often? And how are the league planning to support clubs to do this?
So I think the biggest challenge that the league's had as a whole is generally just been awareness. Mm-hmm. I don't think I think that's the piece that we've got to work on. I think that's how you sell out more arenas, and we just have to put the league at the forefront of fans and potential fans. And I think that's what we all need to collectively do to achieve that. I think some of the great things that clubs have done is particularly around the communities. You know, I genuinely believe the way that clubs have engaged the local communities and that kind of stuff has been, it's great. I think it's more around the awareness and building fandom. And so I think we've got some work to do around that. And I think, again, with, you know, the investment and, you know, why they brought in the likes of Aaron and we're on a, you know, if you've looked at our LinkedIn channel, you'll probably noticed there's a bit of a hiring spree going on at the moment. And a lot of that is so that this is how we're planning to be able to support the clubs through various different, methods, I guess, through marketing. So we'll help support with marketing, and hopefully Paul can attest to the change that he's seen, with the marketing efforts the league has put in over the last few months. There's, been a level up in the broadcast, and I think there'll be more of that as well. And I think that will allow us to then go to broadcast partners and actually show them a world-class product.
Sorry, jump in. I completely agree with what you're saying. And yes, you're right. There's huge changes, but I don't think people see the changes. They do see the changes, but they're not realizing they're looking at it, if that makes sense. Say the broadcasting stuff is huge. We've got 2 cameras, 4 members of staff up at pavilions now doing the TV crew, where before we had some dodgy camera stuck to the ceiling, and that all costs money. But I think, again, same as the question before, there's so much emphasis on what are the league going to do? What are the league going to do? Flipping heck, half the clubs don't even do the minimum standard. I think people have got to look at themselves a little bit, step up a little bit and do some things. No one's perfect. We're certainly not. I know Glads, you're certainly not. This is the BBL. We've got to do our own bit as well, and not just put a hand out and expect the league to put some money in it, right?
And then think about the last couple of seasons as well. Like Joe's just, and what we've talked about before is the massive improvement in broadcasting behind the scenes. You don't hear about people complaining about streams not working, the camera's not moving, not that, because it's now just the minimum that we've got now.
Massive change that is as well.
Massively. And it's almost underappreciative. You've almost got to think, well, no bad news is the good news. You're not going to get, that's a good camera angle. Do you know what I mean? You're just getting this is the minimum standard and people are enjoying it. And it's amazing to hopefully hear plans of what's going to happen. You're talking about next year and so on, to how it can further increases or improve, is massive for the sport, massive for the league in terms of reach. Because imagine someone last season or the season before trying to get a game through YouTube or BBL Player, and the camera was stuck down one end of the floor.
If it was on at all, yeah.
If it was even on. Or the score wasn't updating, or even what happened sometimes was the score updated before you even saw the bloody play.
You could hear the commentary, you couldn't see the picture, or the other way around, yeah.
So we're laughing at this stuff now, but that's what the viewer experience was.
So frustrating.
Yeah, that's what the user experience was for so long. Whereas now what we're getting is night and day better, that we don't get the complaints, so because we're all happy with it, but we're not saying we're really happy with it.
That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. And I think I think what we've made this season, given timing more than anything else, like of when new people have been coming into the business, has been like some incremental sort of improvements. And I do think next season's going to be bigger and better.
There is a theme. There's kind of 3. There's one question in the middle which I'll ask in a minute, but there are 3 kind of grouped together that all suggest London Lions as the BBL's flagship team. But the question seems to be what are the league going to do, in a sense, to bankroll clubs to try and get up to that same level? What's the pathway for clubs to do that? How do we bridge the gap? That kind of thing, which I think you've covered.
Yeah, again, I don't think the league is going to. I think bankroll's quite a strong
Well,
term.
that's the terminology some of the guys use.
So I don't think the league's going to bankroll clubs as such. I think what the league's going to do is help support the clubs in various different ways by bringing skills and resources into the league that will then help support the clubs more and more. And whether that's like through marketing, through broadcast, through ticketing, through new websites, and all that other kind of stuff that we're looking at the moment. Those are the areas where we'll be supporting the clubs, and with the intention that then attracts new investment. And whether that investment comes through brand partnerships or it comes through, another 777 or whatever, then great. But obviously at the moment, I don't know which way that's going yet. All we can do is start the process to show the world how great the British Basketball League is.
It feels like that's a more sustainable avenue as well. More of the kind of the analogy, teach a man to fish kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's going to be a bit of a process, and absolutely the league hopes that we will, in the next few years, we'll be supporting the leagues both from a resource and hopefully financially as well. But I think that's down the road, and there's a lot more to worry about today.
But even that's positive. You saying because the worry from some areas of so-called fans is that this could be a temporary thing, and you guys might not stick around. 777 might not stick around, but to say that there's an actual, you're looking at things 4 years down the road. We're not looking at an immediate fix. We're not looking at a band-aid that we can miraculously fix the league. It's long term, and that's good.
Yeah, going back to my last job, I mean, we again set up a completely new triathlon product, and it turned the kind of long form Ironman into a short form media product. And to think that you're going to change things overnight in the sports world. Yeah, I mean, there are things that change overnight in the sports world, right? But when you're talking about media rights and trying to drive audiences at a scale and that kind of stuff, and becoming an established brand, that stuff, it takes time, a lot of hard work, and effort. And I think 777 have walked into this with their eyes open around what the challenge ahead is. And I absolutely don't feel they're disappearing anytime soon, because there's a lot of work to do.
Good, positive stuff. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with some more questions. We got a few more questions. I'll say a few more. There's quite a few dotted down here. I'm not sure how many will kind of merge together. This one is one I was quite keen on. Are there any plans to implement and reflect more on the history of the BBL? For example, any plans for a BBL Hall of Fame or a retired jersey type thing or ceremony of any kind?
I from a kind of marketing and content point of view, it's definitely something I want to do more of. I guess for me, this season has been really about getting up to speed and improving what is going out on game day. And there's been definitely a balance of, what you can do now and trying to look forward to the future. And part of looking forward to the future is actually looking to the past. Aaron talks a lot about hope and memory, and being the two key pillar stones of sport. And so memory is obviously a big part of that. And we need to build that. There's a lot of nostalgia in the BBL. It always has been. And, I have very, very fond memories of it myself. So I definitely think, Hall of Fame, retired jerseys. I want to definitely celebrate some of our legends as well. And I actually quite love what you guys have been doing around the Legends piece. It's actually helping me learn some of it and remember some of it as well. So when you've been going out speaking to some of the legends, asking them who who their best player, who they thought the best players were.
Oh mate, I could do that all day. Yeah.
Who's your first inductee in the Hall of Fame, Joe? Come on.
Oh,
Perhaps we'll judge you regardless.
I would probably go Paul James. As a
player or a coach?
As a person.
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
He had a great career.
Yeah. He did. It still does, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to remember that as well. It's ongoing, isn't it? It's.
No. He's definitely my boss, and he winds me up every day and reminds me that.
Listen, I have a plea as well. If you get the chance, and if you can find the footage of it, can we have the? I think it was. Hang on, 88-89, the 89 playoff final. Because it's a game I vaguely remember, but having not seen it for decades, I wouldn't know. But it's a 3-point game. Okay. And I just want to see it. I want to see how it ends up. I think it's 86, 89, 86 or 86, 83, something like that.
A 5-year span, Pabs. Come on.
What's that?
Who played in it?
No, the points. That's what the score was.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. It was Glasgow, and I think it was Glasgow. It was an all-Scottish final. I think it was Glasgow and Livingston.
I will see if we've got it, because hopefully you've seen that we've been doing this kind of wind it back, which we're trying to put out a historical game every 2 weeks, and we'll probably do more in the summer. To be honest with you, we'll probably release more in the summer when we're in the off season, so we can keep the fans engaged as well.
We need the 93 final as well, then.
Okay, I'm writing them down as we speak.
They're both close games, because there's a few finals that are a bit kind of, the pathway to the final was more impressive.
Yeah,
the Bears in '85, they did it from 7th, and then Leicester did it from 8th a couple of years later. But that final was actually was cool, was good. That's the one where Billy Mims is on his knees screaming at Bobby Mims. Billy Singleton to run down the court because he just didn't have any players left. He had 5 players, and Billy Singleton was having to cover back.
Amazing.
No, my go-to one's the 2003 final, just because it's the last time we won anything. So watching that in Christmas on BBL Player, I can't watch that one. It's not on yet, but it was on the Player, so I watched that before the BBL Player came off.
I can't watch that one though.
Why?
Well, what do you think?
I want to hear it.
You beat the Bears, yes.
Phenomenal. But I've actually got both the semi-final from that year's, because obviously both games were on Sky the Saturday, Sunday. I've actually got the VHS that I had to get my mate who lived next door to record on his Sky box, because back then we didn't have Sky.
No, we didn't. You get it on Grandstand though on a Sunday.
No, but that year's finals was only on Sky. So
was it?
My mate's dad had to program it in to record on the VHS for us the semi-final. It jumps across to football, and I'm like, no, it's not worked. And then I got the rest. I only missed like a minute of the semi, and then they had a full final. But that's the levels I used to have to go to get any sort of basketball.
Can you get me some more of these, by the way? Have you got any of them lying around the office in the BBL? These are the handbooks.
Actually, I will have a look.
Boot sale, Pabs.
I've got 4 of them, and I want all of them. But Jamie Press was quite possessive over them, and he wouldn't let me see them.
Love that.
So
they're awesome.
20 years this season, 20 years since there's been any silverware north of the border.
No way. That seems like madness.
That does seem like madness. And it's going to make the game really interesting, right? 1 for 20 years, and then 2, you've got Cheshire trying to keep hold of it.
We got to the trophy final 9 years ago in 2014, and we were not a good team that season.
Yeah, I hope you guys get it. Sorry, Cheshire. Sorry. I just hope you guys get it.
Yeah, home final, or not home final, but a home city final. Yeah,
are you allowed to elaborate on the rumours that this is the last trophy?
Oh, I love Paul's face as you try.
Paul almost spat his juice out.
I am not allowed to elaborate, no.
Because we've heard it's going to be replaced with an All-Star game, which I don't mind.
I'm glad you don't mind.
Next question, Pabs.
Okay, this is also based on rumours, from what I believe. Are there plans to try and stagger tip-off times next season? With that, are the league looking at centralising commentary across those games, across all games, I suppose?
I mean, at the moment, that is a better question for Manny Gill, who's heading up broadcasts, to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of work at the moment being done around broadcast and production. Aaron's brought some quite senior people in to help us from across the pond, as it were, in how we're going to start delivering broadcast in general. But yeah, at the moment we're just not not quite ready to divulge too much of the plans yet, because they're still in the making. But yeah, I mean, what I would say is that there will be some significant changes, positive changes, that are going to make our broadcast look a lot better.
It would be so difficult to do that, though, stagger stuff. Like when people don't have control of their own venues and everything else, it's near impossible to.
Well, you can do it to a degree, can't you? If you know a certain team has to tip off at 3:00 in the afternoon, then that's their tip-off time. And if you've got people that are malleable and can move around, you try and put them on the same days. It's not rocket science.
And what happens when there's not?
Well, then you can't do it all the time. But that's part of it, yeah. Flexibility, Nicholson. Come on, what's wrong with you?
I lost all flexibility about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Same. The old knees.
The next, I don't know about the next question. Could try and merge it with the one after. There's a question that is what is your marketing strategy, Mr. Edwards?
Yeah.
But you can kind of link that with, compare that maybe to what it was like when you got there. What did you take over from, if you like? Yeah.
I mean, I can give you my 20-slide presentation on marketing strategy.
Don't do it, Pabs. Don't do it.
Paul's been there. He knows it. No, I think what I would say is that before I guess I got in, there's a great bunch of people there who have been doing a lot of hard work to keep the league in as it is sort of as I arrived. I think obviously there wasn't any huge level of like marketing expertise, I would say. But they were obviously doing it, they were doing a good job because they were already selling out finals and all that other kind of stuff as well. But so I think where I've come in is just probably from having 20 years experience in marketing and about 7 years in the world of sports, and really kind of having more of a focus. Well, my focus is probably a little bit more around like media value and how we can drive that for ourselves and for any partners that decide to join us in the future. And that's probably, where my overarching marketing strategy is. And if anybody asks me, what am I being judged on? I'm going to be judged on how much awareness are we driving around the brand, predominantly, particularly in the early stages. But then it will look to like, how do we drive that fandom and monetize our fan base? And that'll be kind of, we start now, but there'll be more emphasis on that as we grow the brand. So I think, my focus is really around, how much media pickup are we getting in mass media, endemic, and international media as well, because I do think you think about our audiences, a lot of our audience, or who should be our audience, are probably looking at a lot of US channels over time, House of Highlights, all that kind of stuff, and we need to get ourselves there. We need to make ourselves known on those platforms as well. We need to collaborate with our broadcasters. That's another big job. And then I guess, part of it's about driving a world-class product, and my piece of that will be in the marketing and the brand and the communication side of it. And obviously you have people like Manny and others that come into the business will be focusing on different different areas. You know, we've got you'll have seen from LinkedIn, we've got somebody that's going to be looking after like venues. We've got somebody else that's going to be coming in looking after CRM and ticketing. So there's all these kind of different focus areas that all these different people are going to have. So for me, it will be kind of a world-class product, scaling our audiences, making sure that they're really engaged at every step of the way, and driving loads and loads of brand interest. I mean, I still pinch myself today that I kind of got this job, frankly, and I feel very fortunate to be working in a sport that I love, and doing some of the work that I'm getting to do at the moment as well. So it's that another bit of success will just be coming out of the other side of this in however many years I'm doing this for, and seeing the BBL successful and seeing it as recognised globally as a great sport to watch and be part of, basically.
It was interesting what you're saying there about reach, like from across America and obviously people's family tuning. But it's something I looked at recently with my Gladcast podcast. It was like almost 20% of my viewership is from the States.
Yeah.
And whether that's through family or friends of players. And I've got my 3% Germany, and that's probably Matt from Scouts today that works with the Gladiators quite close in the player recruitment thing. But it was actually something quite interesting seeing people from all over Europe, the world, wherever, are kind of connecting with kind of British basketball content. And that was, it wasn't until I kind of clicked more into kind of analytics of my own podcast that I was like, wow, like there's a lot, like 20% of a podcast reach is quite a lot for like America when that's not where we're from. So it was actually really, really interesting from that point of view. And hearing you say it's something that the league looks at as well, of kind of reach across and the kind of perception across the world, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's that. And I think the big piece is that we know that basketball fans in the UK will be looking at the NBA and all those channels, and therefore that we need to be seen in those channels. You know, you've got to go and fish where the fish are. That's the, you know, the first piece of this puzzle really is getting to where the fans that are going to help us grow this league are. And that's the effort that we've got to go and put in to make that happen is go fish where the fish are, basically.
Is in that sense, is success basically creating me but further down the line? And by that I mean, I don't know about you. Might be the same as me. I'm a rarity in a sense that I've followed the BBL before I was introduced to the NBA, whereas a lot of the time now it's the NBA first. And then you discover there's a British league, and then you discover there's a team not too far away from you can watch that. Whereas back in the day, it was like, there's a British league. You watch that first, and then it's like, oh, they've got videotapes and weekly highlights for sale and NBA magazines. And what's all this? There's a league in America?
Yeah. I mean,
I wonder where that was going, Pabs.
Yeah. I reckon you're an audience of one there, buddy. Like, but I think I you know, the way that I got into the sport, and I think a lot of kids do, will be, you know, I got into the sport and then I got into the lifestyle of it. I think, you know, the NBA was just because Michael Jordan was so big then, there was no way I was, you know, it was NBA first. And then I found out through my club that there was, you know, British basketball around, and kind of got involved more that way. I think, you know, the NBA is a behemoth. I think really, you know, one of the things Lenz actually said, I think early on, was being the best of the rest. And I think if we can go and achieve that, I mean, that will be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I you know, given the ambition that 777 have, and also, you know, Aaron coming in, you know, it's possible. We've got a lot of work to do, but it's possible. And I think what I want the kids that I coach on a Sunday to know about the British Basketball League, not because I've told them, because they've seen a social media clip on TV, because they've seen social media, or they've been watching it on TV, or they've heard about it from their friends. And that's the bit that I want to I guess that is success in a sense. It's like the word of mouth is happening without the intervention of guys like us who are, who bleed it basically.
Is there a you mentioned TV? Is there a plan for a more terrestrial? Not that that's a thing anymore. Like people don't tend to tune in to TV to a great deal. The traditional channels, if you like, 1 to 4 or 5, if if you came up with that. But is that a focus as well, or are you guys literally more red button kind of stuff?
No, I mean we're looking at the broadcast landscape in its entirety at the moment, and I think it's not just about TV. I mean, I think like an interesting thing. You look at the NBA All-Star game, a shocking game by all accounts, or at least that's what it keeps telling me. Broadcast numbers were down, but the digital numbers were way up. So it's really important that you look at the audience you're trying to attract and work out where to go with them, and then also not just think about it as we're going to go and dump all of our games on a terrestrial TV channel, but we're going to look at the many different ways that we can cut our rights up and make sure that they get distributed for the benefit of broadcast partners, digital partners, and the fans, so that we're getting everything into the right space. But yeah, again, that's broadcast is definitely Manny's remit. And she's been doing a great job as well. Like, I've got a lot of respect for her and everything she's been doing. She's definitely another one worth getting on this pod. And
I was going to say, we'll have to try and get her on the show.
You should try and get her on the show, yeah.
See if she's was a fan of Grandstand back in the day. Go on, Grant. You look like you're going to ask something then. You were poised.
I was poised there. It was interesting. You're talking about breaking the content up, and I suppose for the NBA All-Star game, I reckon all the traffic I seen was just because of the guy who won the dunk contest, McCon. Yeah. Like, let's be honest, without his story and kind of even he's signed a deal with Puma, he's got back on an NBA roster, and you're like, that whole story's come with him then winning that dunk contest and his kind of name and whatever's kind of spread round. And I suppose that's what I feel like you've just kind of touched on, but also like what Aaron's talked about any time I've heard kind of interviews with him about creating that kind of good content and street that. It may not necessarily be a full 40-minute game, but it's the extra stuff. And like, I suppose that point where know our name kind of tagline comes from. It's about, and something that I kind of believe quite strongly in is getting to actually know the players properly and finding out their background and getting to understand kind of the difficulty these guys face. Like, so many guys in our league have come here from past seasons, maybe not getting paid, and which is supposed to be in better paid leagues or better level leagues. And they come to Britain and they hear maybe the standard's not as good, but they go, well, you know what, I'm definitely getting paid. It might not be to the same level that I'd originally signed for in Poland or Bulgaria or across Europe, but I'm getting paid for something that I enjoy doing.
And they're always surprised about the talent level as well.
Exactly.
I think, a big piece of what a big piece of what we got to do is tell the stories about the players and the coaches that are in, because that is ultimately what the fans will get engaged with, right? Understanding the makeup of these individuals. And, I've been going around, we've been doing quite a few player profiles, right? Which you may or may not have seen in the broadcast. And that's kind of the start of it. But there's so much more to do. Again, my last role was lucky enough to do a full-blown 4-part documentary series on what was the championship series there. All these things need to come into play. We will have a new chief content officer coming in soon, and it's very much going to be his remit to look at how we delivering across that broadcast and digital channels. And again, you'll see a significant scale up there, so that we're telling the stories that effectively pull on the heartstrings of the fans and kind of get them really, really involved in the sport and the personalities. And that's the way we're going to hero people in the long run.
Couple more questions then. There's one you've kind of alluded to already, and we've heard rumours surrounding it as well. But what new campaigns or new branding are being planned?
Well, new campaigns. New campaigns will. Campaigns will be continually evolving as we go through each and every season. One of my favourite campaigns ever was actually that I Love This Game by the NBA, which was like probably in the 90s or something like that. And I think what the NBA do really well is refresh themselves every season, and they come into it with a new storyline and a new way of talking about the sport. And frankly speaking, any brand that's worth its worth its nous is going to be doing that, because we need to tell stories in different ways to keep our audiences engaged and interested. So there'll always be new campaigns, whether that's campaigns around like the tentpole competitions, or BBL Inspires is something that I really want to spend a bit of time looking at as well. We've been doing a little bit of work with the clubs around the community aspect and how we can deliver those campaigns. There'll be ticketing campaigns. There'll be campaigns all over the place with tentpole moments in there, effectively. So that will be ongoing. We are currently working on what the league is going to look like as a whole next season. It's not like, I know you guys have talked about new names and you talked about logos and all that sort of stuff on the previous podcast, and I'm not giving anything away, so don't ask.
Pabs just loves the logo. Pabs loves our logo.
I like the logo. He skated straight over that. Good.
Skated straight over that. But it's not just about that. It's not just about the name. It's not just about the logo. It's literally about every single touch point that a fan can engage with us as a league.
Is the website changing?
That's what we're looking at. Every single touch point that the fans that will engage with. So it really, again, without saying too much, there will be a lot of change, and you could pretty ask me, is that changing or is that changing? 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be to some degree. We will be making changes. Yeah.
Does this mean I frantically need to re-download all the PDFs from the history segment of the website? Is that going to vanish?
Yes, go through that. But it's okay. Again, playing back to the history of this stuff, I definitely want to make sure that we tell the story, because I just think there's a lot of nostalgia in there, particularly like some of the rivalries, even some of the way these legends have been talking about each other as well. I think has been great, and I definitely want to tell as many of those stories as we possibly can. Well, talking of legends, Ads is here. You all right, mate?
Yes, finally made it. Evening, fellas.
Good evening, mate. How are you?
Has Ads been sat there just waiting for someone to say legend so he can come in?
Well, I did plan my entrance. No, apologies. It's Monday night. I coach until 8 o'clock and then have to get my daughter home and all that sort of stuff. So.
Never apologise for that.
How's it going? Where are we up to? What are we talking about? What are we doing?
We're done. I'll see you later.
All right. It was great to see you guys, and we'll see you next week.
We've gone through. I don't know if you can see in in our group chat, the questions. We're basically down to the last one now, essentially. Have a little scan through it, see if there's anything you want to ask or add to any of it.
Have we got to the point in the show where Ads picks Mark Lovin and then we call it a night?
Not yet. That's a little way off.
No, okay.
Yeah.
No, the night is done for us.
Joe, you have to admit, Mark Lovin's the best player in the league this year. I've got this obsession with Mark Lovin, and these lot don't get it. They don't understand.
Oh, I get it. I 100% get it. Well, I preferred it when he had the afro.
Imagine he signed for Manchester.
Oh, come on.
Don't worry, you've signed some players.
You never Ramon and Mark Lovin.
You've signed a new player. Oh, wait a minute. No, you didn't play. You did sign a new player, didn't you?
Yeah, Kofi.
Okay. Yeah. Thought so.
Kofi's in the high house. Yeah, I'm not sure. Clearance works and all that. I'm not sure he was cleared in time for Sunday. Was what I guessed and heard.
Okay. Enough said.
I get the feeling Nicholson's taking the pee slightly there.
Yeah, Nicholson, passive aggressive.
I'm not able to. I haven't said much on this pod, so I thought I'd just throw my voice around a little bit.
Yeah, good.
You've not had a few sips of
go back to
wine
mute.
oil.
Yeah, he's just been sat there chugging wine. Oh Jesus! That's like there's only a third of that bottle left. You might as well finish it off. All right. There's one more question on the list here that's worth answering that we haven't covered. Well, it's fairly specific. Does the BBL have plans for media marketing campaigns? We've already spoke about those, but he asking if you see value in print, essentially TV and billboard ads.
Absolutely.
Is that something you guys are looking at branch into?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why? These are mass media platforms we're talking about. Still, it's not like billboards disappeared or anything. Yes, we've got a bit more kind of like 3D craziness going on with things like billboards, but absolutely see value in all these things. Again, it just comes down to what's the objective, why are we going to do it, what do we need it for at any given time. I definitely think out of home is a big piece of the puzzle. But for me, like the other area that like we need to go and spend a decent amount of time on is like working with content creators. I worked at FIBA like a few years ago. And we were working with like the Bone Collector and the Professor and people like that. And we were kind of creating content with them. And apart from that being a lot of fun doing that stuff, actually, it really drove some great awareness for us in key markets where I'm going to get my words out again. Hang on, I'll start that a bit again. It really helped us kind of grow the awareness for the World Cup, which is what I was working on at the time.
Right. Yeah.
So we were going out and like the Bone Collector was going to Italy and like crossing people over and ankle breaking and kind of that sort of stuff, capturing that content. He was wearing the Italian jersey and that kind of stuff. And then we were pushing it out into market, and the National Federation at the time was using that content as well to drive it. So I think working with more content creators will be a big part of driving awareness, particularly within that kind of core market that we want to go, or core audience we kind of want to go after initially.
It was interesting you're saying about like the traditional stuff. It was from being, as I said, in Berlin at the weekend. There was murals, Alba Berlin murals all over the city. Obviously, they're having a successful time of things, but there was murals down the side of buildings. There was billboards up about them, and it was just said that'd be so cool if we had that in our landscape. It was
absolutely
just so cool to see.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know how to Instagram, but I somehow managed to follow the Professor. So when you go on my Instagram, when I go on my Instagram and have a look, I just get video after video of the Professor, and he's absolutely amazing.
Is that the only guy that you follow now?
Big fan. No, I follow loads. I just don't know I don't know how it works. If I'm honest.
He follows me.
I'll pipe down.
Sorry,
Mr.
Grant.
TikTok.
He follows me too. It was a joke.
Mr. I undo boxes with pop figures in on TikTok.
I got a new one. Do you want to see it? No? Anyone? No. Right.
What is it? Is it basketball related?
No, it's Disney.
Disappointing.
Joe, I've got to make a comment. That Raiders helmet is sick. That Raiders helmet.
Thank you, dude. So I did some work with the NFL in a previous life. I actually looked after their Game Pass product internationally. So I looked after everything except the US and China and Europe, but that still left about all of South America and then the rest of the world, which is about 100 odd markets.
Wow.
So yeah, it was good. It was good fun. It's good fun working on that, and actually learned quite a lot in the process, which is always good when you're learning on the job. So that's that.
That's quite a difficult sport to market in the UK.
A little bit of a prize one.
Wow.
So these are, I don't know if you've ever heard of a clothing label called Undercrown.
No.
But check it out. It's done. There's 750 of those in the world, which I was just like, I've worn them once and then took them
Put
off.
them on a shelf.
Wow.
As you do. Did that with my
As it's a
Jordan 12s.
podcast, we're currently looking at a pair of shoes.
Yeah, sorry, I should have commentated on that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I should have said a pair of trainers.
A spectacular pair of shoes, let's say.
Yeah. But
That's interesting. Have we? While you're talking about that you did with the NFL, have we covered what's happening next year with the coverage in terms of how's it going to work? Is it going to be still on YouTube, or is the app going to go live again?
Yeah. I think, like I said, really we're looking at the whole piece and how it's all fixed. Yeah, obviously, I think at the moment we want to make sure that our fans can get to our content as easily as possible, because we've got to drive awareness, whether that's on terrestrial, whether that's through digital, whether that's on YouTube, and how the rights are kind of broken up to sort of best meet the fans. That's kind of what we're looking at. So I don't think we've got a definitive answer, and a lot of it is about talking with broadcast partners, digital rights partners, and kind of negotiating how we best get the league out there. But I mean, our aim is very much to make sure that we drive more awareness than we have this season, and we've actually done pretty well this season already. But I still, even after doing pretty well this season, I think there's a long way to go. I mean, putting it on YouTube opened the floodgates to the audience, which has been great. Like I think that was great, but you kind of have to balance that with commercial opportunities, because if we can drive revenues into the business, that means we can do more stuff and drive more audiences that way as well. So it's a big juggling act.
Just on that, sorry, quick one, we've only got 2 minutes left. Just
go on.
Ask a question based on that. We obviously seen, I think it was just before Christmas, the impact of kind of the social reach that the BBL put a press release out about it. Has those results blown you out any kind of thought you guys would get those numbers, or is that way bigger than you thought? Or
I think that we've done a good job and we've got a long way to go. Is probably my answer to that. I think I've definitely not seen those personally not really seen those kind of growth numbers before in the past. But then also I've walked into potentially like more established marketing organizations, in previous roles. So I think I'm happy with what we've achieved over the last 6 months. But I mean, it's just like a small stepping stone at the moment. We've got a long way to go yet.
Good stuff. Well, that's it for the question. Let's add. You can think of anything else. We'll have a quick break and come back, and we'll have a chat over some of the fixtures over the weekend. If Joe, you're happy to stick around for a bit?
I will stick around for sure.
Let's have a look then at the fixtures that took place. We're going to have to go back to Wednesday to talk about the positive side of the Gladiators last week in the BBL. And
that BBL weekend ended on Wednesday night.
Progressing fairly comfortably, I'd like to say, over the Derby Trailblazers. After Derby gave them a good run, Gladiators pulled away to an 18-point victory. Go on, Grant. What you did you go? You didn't go, did you? Although there were a lot of travelling fans.
Yeah, it was brilliant to see, and I suppose for a Wednesday game, Derby's not exactly easy for people north of the border to get to. It's train to Birmingham and then trains away from there. And well, I know for a fact Birmingham's not easy to get to in the first place. So, what a brilliant game! Shout out to everyone involved at Derby. Like, what a ball club in D1. Like, brilliant setup, midweek, places full, places jumping. Looked like there was loads of media people at the game as well, promoting the game. And I really thought it was such a professional job by the Gladiators. Like, just that kind of knowing 4-minute game, doesn't matter what the score is throughout, all it cares about what the score is at the end. And Probably for a lot of times during that, the margin didn't feel like it should be like that. But by the end, it was a massively deserved win. But Smith for them as a player, he can do it all. And actually, what I really liked from our point of view is how good Fraser Malcolm played up against him. Like a sizable, much bigger guy. And yeah, Fraser was class. And actually, I genuinely think it was our Scottish core kind of towards the third quarter that kind of built that lead for us and got us kind of pushing ahead.
Nice. Where do we stand, fellas, on the... and I got into it on Twitter a little bit, although I didn't get much response, regarding Malcolm Smith and people saying that he, teams should have taken him instead of other Americans, for example. I weighed in on it, obviously, but go on.
I weighed in on it as well. And I think it was under kind of Drew Lasker's point. I got a lot of kind of interaction.
I wanted him to be more specific. I wanted him to say, who are you dropping from another team before you're going to put him in? How's that going to work?
With all due respect, it's one of those easy things to say, and it happened when Solon got to that position as well. And then we've seen some players from there go into the BBL actually, and didn't do great things. But at the same time, we've seen players from D1 come into the BBL and do great things.
Yeah.
You're not going to know until they're there. As simple as that. Has he played great games against BBL clubs? Yes, he has. But it's really easy to see someone do that and go, "Oh, he should be in the BBL team." It's not quite that easy.
A lot of it depends on circumstances as well. I mean, do we know how old is this guy?
Early 30s.
Right. Okay. So, early 30s. I'm guessing that. Well, what is the tail end of your career these days? You know what I mean? Athletes are getting 40, better and better. Yeah. I mean, so he's still got a lot of ball left in him. But I mean, you do see this sometimes where you get guys coming over and playing in a lower league type setup because of another commitment they may have here, whether it's something to do with education, university, or family, whatever. There's a million reasons why that player might select playing in that league. I mean, there's no doubt that the guys, given some numbers.
He's legit, for sure.
I mean, but I mean, it's like I refer back to the season before COVID when who was it that came up and beat Giants in the trophy? Alex Awumi's team.
Oh, Worthing Thunder.
Worthing Thunder, and that was basically a BBL team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, Alex Awumi was a great... I'm reading his book at the moment, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
It's great, yeah.
And that was a legit... But each and every one of those guys had a reason for why they weren't playing in the BBL.
Yeah, of course. See, that was the other thing with it for me. Looking at that squad as a whole, I would... And it's not to want to sound disrespectful to Malcolm Smith and what he does, because he's had phenomenal games against BBL talent, but I would take Brugman and May Thompson. I mean, May Thompson's proven in the BBL anyway, and he was arguably is their best player because he just does it both ends of the court and is incredible. But Bruggeman's an amazing point guard.
And Ant Rowe obviously talked about Diedrich as well. He played with him at Loughborough. And said he was like a genuine BBL talented player as well.
I can't remember who said it as well, and obviously I'm old, so I took immediate offence to it. But the statement that Malcolm Smith is the best player ever to come out of Derby. I mean, I listed... What did I list? I mean, Rico Alderson was one of them. I listed the whole load. Yeah, Berry was another one.
I'm curious, as we've
got Joel... Yeah, absolutely.
As we've got Joel on the pod here, as a BBL staff member...
Nick Nurse, another one as well.
Does he see Smith... Shut up, you. Does he... Does he see someone like Smith play and go, hey, we need that guy in the BBL?
I think we need like good stories. So if he's a good story, then we need him in the BBL.
Is it a case of like you?
Answer.
Is it? Well, I was going to say, is it a case of you look across the kind of various leagues, and effectively, and you'd be stupid not to, I guess, you want the best players in the country playing in your league, which would mean the better players in the NBL that are good enough for the BBL playing in the BBL as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's fair, isn't it?
Glad I asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the more we can develop the correct pathways, and I think this goes back down to, like, I want the kids that I'm coaching right now to see the BBL as where they want to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, this was something we talked about a little while ago as well, as like in terms of pathway. It's not been that situation. But young British talent had to go elsewhere to give them now a viable option in their own countries is phenomenal. But so then obviously the other semi-final was a bit later on, was Sunday. A close affair. The Phoenix nudged over the line with a big comeback in the fourth quarter. 82-78, they took it in the end. First of all, Grant, are you happy with that?
I genuinely think that's a home court win. If you think about that kind of gives. I think from a matchup point of view, I think I would have preferred Sharks.
Yeah.
But then also Sharks are such an unknown with so many new guys in that roster. They look to play a better brand of basketball as well this week.
Yeah.
But Cheshire's always a team that I think we've struggled with this year. We beat them at home. They beat us at their place. So, yeah, a final kind of decides it, doesn't it? So it'll be a fascinating kind of matchup. So I think I would have preferred to play Sharks from Sharks maybe a month or so ago. Having not probably watched them enough with a lot of new guys. I think it's tougher. But Cheshire, our game were good. I suppose they've got no one. Had they not brought anyone in at deadline, did they?
I don't think so. I think they were happy with what they had.
So
they've been performing very well, to be fair.
Good old deadline.
Well, I think if we go back to a pre-season show, old ads might well have predicted that Cheshire always end up getting into a final. They're sneaky. Telling you that Cheshire, they always seem to end up in finals in positions like this. And
you got a magic ball there?
I have. No, I've just watched Cheshire and Chester over the years, and they're sneaksters. That's what they are. They're little sneaksters, and they always find a way through. To be honest, that's interesting what you were saying, Grant, because I'd much rather be playing Sheffield. Did you say you preferred to be playing?
No, Sheffield, I said I would have rather been playing Sheffield, but right, Sheffield a month or so ago.
Right, okay, yeah, because I'd have said straight away if I had a choice, I'd rather play Sheffield.
Absolutely,
because Cheshire, as a franchise, they just have this habit of doing it. Was it last season that they won the?
Yeah, they won the trophy last year.
Yeah.
They're going for the repeat.
Yeah,
a trophy-winning team.
Well, Pabs, haven't they always been like that? Even when they were Chester, they'd crop up out of nowhere and win a trophy.
I love that Jet Wash team. That was one of the best teams in the history of the league.
I'm loving the fact that this final is going to be a competitive one, period. Like, doesn't matter how you look at it, doesn't matter which team you prefer. Both of these teams are more than capable of winning that game.
I have a question for Joe.
Go on. I've got a question for you guys.
I've got a question for you based on this trophy final. And it's a chance for you to directly respond to conspiracy theorist Dave Forrester on the Sunday night breakdown show. Is this fixture something that the league has manifested? Are they happy with this final, or is it a lot of nonsense? And both teams deserve to be there, and it's going to be a good final anyway.
The thing, so I've got a few friends that are conspiracy theorists, and I always wonder, like, no one's got the time.
Why are you friends with them?
No one's got the
time. No, genuinely, we've got too much other stuff to do to worry about manufacturing an outcome in the league at the moment.
What a board meeting
there you go, Dave. Mr. Forrester.
If you think about it in the grand scheme of life, the world, sports in general, do you know what I mean? To think that there's somebody in the BBL doctor. Do you know what I mean? From
a marketing perspective, though, you've got to be happy with this, with the way this has ended up. You've got the final in Scotland, you've got a Scottish team in the final, and you've got a game that potentially, even on paper, these are two teams that clash incredibly well together. It could be a hell of a spectacle.
It's a it's brilliant. It's great. I can't wait for it. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing it and watching it.
I can recommend many a good bar for you as well, Joe.
Yeah. While we're recording, I don't drink, so. But yeah, I'll see you.
I'll do food.
You got any good sneaker shops up there?
Probably, yeah.
Do you wear shoes?
There's a few castles.
There's a few castles.
Nicholson. What was that? Let's take us back to the dark ages, shall we? Build a wall, was that you said? I missed it.
I didn't see anything, mate.
You're more further away from the rest of the world than me.
Mate, we live in flip-flops down here on the beach.
Yeah, mate. Crocs if you got a little bit of money, flip-flops if not.
I've got my fake
I've got I get my hiking shoes on every day. My
vegan. Did you say vegan shoes?
No, my farming shoes.
Farming shoes. I thought you've changed.
we just wear leather sandals.
Leather sandals.
What I was going to ask you guys was...
Oh, yeah, go on, yeah.
What do you think about the retro jerseys?
Love it.
Love it.
Can't get enough of it.
Yeah, massively jealous I'm not involved in it.
I desperately want to get my hands on a Chester Jets one. Desperately.
I'm very keen on playing in last year's jersey.
You silly ass. No, I'm a big fan of it. I like the Giants are using the logo again, the old Hulk logo.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 teams doing it this year, right? Manchester,
right.
Leicester, Sheffield,
and Newcastle.
And Newcastle, yeah. I mean, technically, I guess you could do it with you guys, Grant.
What do you mean, technically?
Well, you're not called Glasgow.
Yeah, but you still got the Cheshire Phoenix aren't Chester Jets, but they're going to wear the Jets uniform.
Yeah.
I thought Newcastle should have gone back to wearing a Sunderland 76ers or Sunderland Saints jersey. I would have loved that.
But you see, you can't do that, Pabs, because Sunderland and Newcastle, that's like saying a Manchester team should play in a Liverpool uniform. No, it really is.
I like that the Riders are going back to the first season, aren't they? 87-88 kit, which is awesome. Although I did like the blue and white.
The blue stuff is so smart. I would love a Billy Singleton one.
Oh,
of the old kind of horse riders.
Run, logo. Billy, run! Yeah,
I think that. Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Derby or Leicester that were blue circle cement, Pabs?
It's Bears, Worthing Bears with blue circle cement.
Were they? Yeah, because every day when I go in Selco to pick my supplies up and I see the bags of that, I always think of the BBL. It's mad, but it's a shame that I know it is with advertising and brands and all that, where you can't put the original sponsors on it as well.
Yeah, but put the big logo in the middle. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we used to obviously have like some stupidly long branded names. Like it was Scottish Phoenix, Honda, Record Rocks at one point. Like
we were Butlins. Worthing Bears were Butlins one year. I've got the jersey somewhere. Butlins Bears. And then we were sponsored by Driver, the game on the PlayStation 1, which was mad.
Yeah,
insane.
We were always big time. We just went for a deal.
Oh. There he is. There's the Hulk.
I need that jersey.
If you can fit in it, Grant, this is a small one.
No chance.
Right, we've got a couple of other topics. Let's. I don't know if this is a topic or not. I want to throw it over to you guys and see. The Riders obviously was it 25-point? Were served a 25-point loss by the London Lions.
I know how they feel.
Were phenomenal again, as you know. They've fielded their stronger units against the Riders traditionally, and they absolutely destroyed them. But there was a comment on social media regarding fans, them not being able to fill. I forget who it was who said it now. This is the worst. I should have looked that up. But somebody commented that they can't even fill, suggesting that the Riders are struggling to fill their venue this season for the men's, that is, because obviously it would appear that the WBBL side of things is they're packing it out.
Well, they broke the record, didn't they, on Saturday?
Yeah, but in terms of the men's, the insinuation was that they can't even fill it when the Lions are in town. A number of suggestions were made on that. The cost of the ticket was one. A subtle dig saying that they're all glory hunters, basically, was another one. But what do we... Because when you watch it back, there's a few empty seats as you're panning across camera-wise, you can't see obviously the near side stand. But I don't know. Is it a thing? Are we worried about this? Is it
I'm not. I mean, I was surprised when we went to Leicester last year, Pabs.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that actually sometimes when you go into a venue, it seems smaller in real life than when you see it. But I was quite pleasantly surprised how big it actually is. And that side to the left where the camera shoots from seemed to be the one that's always absolutely packed to the rafters because it was that night. And then, of course, the view that you have across the way there, I'm guessing that they keep that end left-hand block free for travelling fans because
possibly
that's where
that's where the Giants sat, wasn't it, when they played the retro game last year?
And it wasn't full. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't worry about it. I don't think it's right. It's not a glory hunter thing or anything like that, is it? I think it's just maybe sometimes, and even Joe might think about it. It's which way the camera points will show how busy it is, and it might be a little bit deceiving at times.
I agree. One of the things that I've been talking about a lot is just with the clubs is really from a broadcast point of view. I just want to make sure there's crowds always in the background, even photography as well. I mean, it's one of the. I think Paul actually ended up speaking about it on one of these podcasts a while ago, and
you killed me for it in the presentation. Yeah. Thanks for that, mate.
Yeah, it's all right.
Just for the record, guys, they did an example of bad photography at games.
Oh, right.
And I was like, "Oh, look, that's my photo."
Is that something you guys are looking at, trying to get the camera angles away from the blue wall and curtains?
Yeah.
Good.
But it's also, see with that game, obviously it's brilliant to see over 1,000 people at a WBBL game. Like it's brilliant. The last Gladiators game at home, they did it before the men's game, and it was probably their biggest crowd as well. We see Newcastle kind of doing it. But these are almost, in my opinion, seen as kind of being one-off games that they kind of give it the full set-up show. And it needs to happen more. But a one-off game, you're more likely to sell a one-off game in a big facility. Like the Riders, the weekend that the Gladiators beat London in the WBBL, the day before they lost to Leicester at Loughborough Uni. Like that's not playing at the kind of Morningside Arena as such in the same setup as what we're seeing a lot of other games. They're having to push a lot less to make money or just put seats on bums at Loughborough Uni than they are at the Morningside.
Bums on seats. We know what you meant. Come on. Good Lord.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, you. But do you know what I said about the women's game? Just switching it around completely. Sorry, that was amazing from them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it 1,200?
1,300, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Beat the record by like 9 tickets. Love that.
What's the capacity at Leicester? Because there was insinuation that they have more seats than other venues, and that's why it looked like there was people missing.
Well, you know what? I'm actually on the stream now looking at it to see. And I tell you what's deceiving, right? For some reason, people wearing red.
We're blending with the seats.
It makes it look like there's a seat.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, I know. I saw. Well, I had a look as well. Yeah.
I've got it on a freeze frame now, and the angle of the crowd I can see is that every seat on the row's full, but there's a load of people wearing red shirts that make them look like seats.
But I wasn't buying the capacity thing. I didn't buy that. I'm not sure what the capacity is, but I'm not sure what it is. But
it does go up quite high.
One of the guys, the Newcastle guys, that was saying, "Well, we fill our venue no matter how crap we've been this season. We fill our venue every week, and there's obviously more there." Was the argument?
What's Morningside? 2,500?
Not sure. I thought it was around 2,000. Yeah, but from looking at it,
it's a similar size to Bellevue, which is just over 2,000 when it's popping at the seams. So
someone had a dig at Manchester as well on that same thread, saying that Vince should take some tips from the WBBL publicity for the same reason.
It just sounds like, to be honest with you, it sounds like a lot of fans going,
do you know what?
My stadium's got more seats than yours.
Do you know what? Right? Do you know what? And this
no
is
one attack the Pats in that. Go on, yeah.
This is facts, right? In Manchester, right, we've had games this year where it's been a full house, and it is a full house, right? We've also had games when it's been quiet. But what you got to remember about Manchester is if United or City are at home, Eastlands is a 10-minute walk from Bellevue, or maybe 15 minutes, getting to Bellevue on a game day, if it happens to clash with the football traffic, is a nightmare. Because of the
across the road from the Emirates is Celtic Park, like physically across the road. So if there's any, like the last home game, we had the Scottish League Cup final on between Rangers and Celtic, so the two big Glasgow teams. Like
there's no one left. It's ghost town, isn't it?
Glasgow goes into lockdown because of all the trouble that can be in Glasgow on a football day, because football's just different for some reason up here. But I was actually still impressed by the crowd size that day, and that was a double header day. But there's been games in the past, and you'll feel this as well. Like people don't want to go out in the city or go to things if it's near big sporting arenas. It puts kind of maybe families off.
Or football particularly.
Well, I mean, the problem that we've got as well in Manchester, and it just is what it is that the facility, incredible as it is, if you don't drive, it's not the easiest place to get to.
Really?
Because it's out in Bellevue is sort of, it's sort of.
Is it near the aquatic centre? Is it out towards the uni?
No. It's miles away from it. It's a good sort of 1.5 miles, 2 miles out of the city centre. Right. So you can't really. In fact, maybe even more. It's a long walk anyway. There's bus routes, but unfortunately, that part of Manchester, the tram isn't there. So a lot of people who travel to stuff around the city use the tram, and the tram's getting bigger and bigger, but it just doesn't go out that way. So you've pretty much got to be driving because, it's one of them. It's like any city, Bellevue. It's not in the nicest part of town. It's certainly not the worst part of town. But do you want to be hanging around at the bus stop, on the outskirts of the city at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, getting home? So you've really got to drive to be able to get to Bellevue.
We've got the exact same thing at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how the Timoneys, along with their partners, kind of sort that for the new place up in East Kilbride for us. But like we have the issue where not only is it beside a football ground, not only that, the nearest train station closes at like 5:30 on a Sunday. Games start at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's almost things like that. You think, come on. Like, local facilities not help. Like, the station could easily stay open because trains still run through it. They just don't stop them.
I mean, at the morning side as well. I mean, I drove there, as did Pabs. It took a minute or two to find our way around, didn't it?
It's like a rabbit warren. It's like going back in time as well. It's like
where is this place?
England,
you're sort of going around all these back streets past sort of back street garages.
All these old warehouses, industrial estates.
Yeah.
You guys ever been to see a Tottenham game?
I've been to White Hart Lane.
Yeah, not for a long time, but it's.
You want to talk about a struggle to get somewhere?
Yeah,
it is such a trek, and then you get out, and you've got like 100,000 people all trying to get
the tube.
Which is a different problem, right? But I guess that's the problem we'd quite like at some point. The demand, which is drive more demand, and I think, like to your point around public transport routes, if we can prove to the councils that they need to put more public transport on to get to our venues, and actually, we should be trying to think about it like that as well. It's really interesting. I think about like all these little problems that you don't really think about when you're going to put a venue in or an arena in somewhere new, or even extend the arena like as Leicester have done. It's things like signposting, all those kind of things to make it easy to get to, and also tell fans how to travel there as well.
How to get there in the first place. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's that's a really great point. Maybe from the Giants' perspective, make more of a thing of the best way to get there. But I mean, you can't blame when they build the venue. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, real estate in a major city is expensive. So is the land to put it on. Bellevue is sort of an extension part of what they call sort of Sports City, around where the Etihad is, because obviously that just sprawls now. You know what I mean? It's like they've got the main stadium, then they've got several stadiums adjacent to it. The training grounds, the city training ground apparently has got 7 or 8 different pitches with different types of turf on to replicate other Premier League grounds and all that stuff. So, yeah, seriously, and it goes on.
Imagine BBL teams had that for floors.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got the Velodrome, and of course this new arena that's meant to be opening in Manchester in December is right there as well. So it's like this whole part of North Manchester that's becoming this thing, and I'm thinking that eventually they might change the way you get around it, but
they may have to. Let's go on, Grant. Quick, go.
No. Go. Nothing.
Let's. The last thing I want to kind of talk about regarding the weekend. Obviously, we've sort of skated over the fact that the Lions served another big defeat to the Gladiators, which rounded off a weird weekend for the Gladiators, because obviously they lost to Surrey Scorchers as well in a strange.
We all said they were going to win more games, didn't we?
Strange game. Yeah. That happened last season.
We had the exact same discussion, and we were saying, I said, I hope it's not the Rocks, and blah blah blah. And guess what happened?
But I felt a little bit to a degree that it was, and I felt this as well when Bristol played the Eagles, was you're inevitably going to get a sense of you're playing a team in the bottom 2, whether you like it or not. Players will get a sense of, we've just got to turn up and get this one out of the way. And obviously the Eagles are still trying to get a playoff spot. It's not going to be that easy. And that, consequently, the Flyers had to pull it out. And it took them, most of the end of the third quarter and the entire fourth quarter to actually... Yeah.
Both teams trying to lose at the fourth, yeah.
But then you look at the Scorchers as well. The Gladiators were in a good position coming up to the sort of down the stretch in that they started to get some momentum, but it just turned into one of those games they couldn't get it done. So, yeah.
The more I thought about this game.
I'm going to say I agree with what you said.
The more it makes sense. The more it makes sense because they've had a game against Derby, which they would have scouted heavily because of Derby who upset Patriots, right? Yeah. So definitely going to scout that heavily. They're definitely going to go into that really, really prepared. And then what they've got is a quick turnaround for a double header. So that double header, it's not possible to scout 2 teams thoroughly and really pay attention to the scout and a doubleheader after just prepping for the Derby game. So mentally, it's a lot to take on board for any player. So they're probably going to go, okay, sorry, remember our assignments from last time, do this, do that, do this, do that, and let's get this one done. And then lots of little things would have happened in there and maybe the lack of concentration. They go under a couple of screens and Teo knocks down some frees and maybe they play defense in the wrong way. And it's enough to just change games because it doesn't matter who you are in the BBL. You're a good team. And if you get the scout wrong, it will hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, because exactly, getting the scout or the lack of prep, it's not an excuse because with the BBL, it was only a short turnaround. The whole emotion of getting to a final, even from an organisation point of view, is probably massive. But then you don't, in a scout, predict that someone like Tails is going to shoot 7 from 9 from threes. Tails had one of his best shooting games in his BBL career at the weekend. Like, Tails an absolute legend of the league. But nobody seen Tail. Tail a few years ago wasn't a 3-point scorer. He's just had one of those nights where he's just gone, you know what, I am not missing. And the new guy, McFoley, keeps making buckets. He's coming into a genuine kind of scoring threat. And and I've said before, I sometimes think that Surrey struggle with fouls. None of their big guys fouled out. Yeah. So if you're able to keep Martin, Boban, all these guys playing or being eligible to play for 40 minutes rather than fouling out with 5 minutes to go, they're going to be in contention.
And Surrey had 3 players play very well.
Well, and the flip side of this is obviously Gladiators, who were arguably at this point kind of favourites to hang on to that 4th spot. Giants came up against the Flyers, and I think predictions-wise, most of us took. Let me just check. Yeah, we all took the Flyers except for Ads, who took the Giants. That is a huge win for the Giants, and it's propelled them into fourth spot on their own.
Did you not see Surrey as well?
I can't remember now.
I think he did as a joke and then changed his mind.
Yeah, he changed it back again.
That's all he did.
He changed it back again.
But without Lee and without Kofi?
That's huge, man. And it was a great team performance as well. Go on, Ads.
Well, I gotta say, yeah. When you lose another player to injury, you're thinking, right, okay, that leaves us with 7 guys basically. But wow, did those 7 guys come together and get the job done? I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect. Obviously, I found out just before the game that William Lee had got injured during the warm up, and you're just thinking, oh no. But then at the same time, in the face of adversity, squads just go, right, okay, that's happened. Let's just go for it, which is what they did. I mean, there's bits that I've brought up before about it that, I was looking at Taj Green's stat line, and, once again, he's gone sort of 1 from 7 from 3.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of, I just don't see that
7 from 11 from 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Taj Green's at his best when he gets inside. He backs guys down, and obviously on a fast break, no one's stopping him. Sometimes needs must, but when you've got shooters like Dirk Williams, and I've been saying it for a while, when Nick Lewis comes up big, the Giants play much better, and Nick had another really good game the other night too. So yeah, it was.
But Vince, you said that about Taj Green, but Vince wants him to shoot like 43s a game.
I know, I know, and that's Vince's style. I'm a bit more sort of statish about it, without going too geeky. But my preference for big guys playing inside. Well,
they kind of won in spite of it, didn't they? 8 from 23. I mean, 34% is not brilliant.
And Legend only played 8 minutes as well. So, he was, so it's basically 6 guys that did it. I mean, Callum got good minutes. It was a big win for him, no doubt. And I mean, we've got a big game this Friday. It's the big one. It's on Sky. London are in town. We've got a couple of injuries. Hopefully, Kofi will be suited up.
It's going to be interesting in the London one, because London have got a European game, if I'm right. Then they've got Manchester. Then they've got Plymouth. Then they've got another European game. They got 4 games in a very short period of time.
Mm. And the fact now they can't really change their team round as well, plus all their injuries. But I suppose for the European games, they know they've already got one guy locked in Kostas Koufos. You've got that one guy locked in already. And Sam Decker's just able to turn up every single time he's on the court as well. But interesting to see, going back to the Bristol game with you guys, it was one of the games I only kind of checked out a condensed game a wee bit. I did not realise that Watson Gale went 0 from 8.
Yeah. He didn't shoot the 3 ball very well as a team, did they?
No.
Like 8 from 37?
Yeah.
It was pretty abysmal.
That Bristol game, watch that Bristol Newcastle game back. And
that was
the last 3-4 minutes was just a bit like, what is going on?
But it was testament that like we said earlier, it was a team that Bristol kind of slept on a little bit and managed to wake up. That end of that third quarter was insane. They were 17 points down, and by the end of the third quarter, it was single digits. Like they chipped it away, give themselves a good fourth. But yeah, the Giants, great weekend for the Giants. Then holding that 4th spot. These are just looking at the league table before we move on. It kind of is breaking down now. Lions are out clear. I don't think anyone's catching them, and I think we're all agreed on that. But it's an interesting battle for second place because Flyers and Riders, there's only 6 points separating them. Riders have got 4 games in hand, plus obviously they've got to play each other again. So that could be interesting, especially the way the Flyers have kind of dropped points to the Giants. Yeah, we'll see how that transpires. But the kind of battle for 4th is maybe one of the more interesting ones. Giants, Gladiators, Phoenix, all within 4 points of each other. Phoenix will play 1 extra game. So Giants and Gladiators are the closer together on 25. But that is an interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing who can crack that top 4 because that's always one of the markers for it. And then obviously we've got Patriots, Sharks, and Eagles. Realistically, going for the 8th spot, although it's becoming more and more out of the Eagles' reach as we look at it now. There's still enough games left. And for the Scorchers, you just got to think this is, they're looking at next season now. But it's good for them to do what they did the other week. They pick up wins. Teams can't sleep on the Scorchers now. It's a good squad they've got there. Kyle Carey is rolling back the clock week after week as well. He's looking very good.
Joe Edwards, who do you think is going to make the playoffs? Just want to put him on the spot, see what happens.
Well, is it not easy to tell you who won't make the playoffs?
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this one, right?
Can the Eagles make it? Do you reckon the Eagles can get there? They've got games in hand.
I don't feel like, given their current performance, I think they might struggle.
It's a bit of a task. They've got two games in hand, which will put them 2 points behind Sheffield if they win those 2 games in hand. But they have a tough run coming up, don't we? Then when you look at it the other week, they've got Lions, Flyers, Giants.
Yeah, they needed that.
Sheffield brought some new talent in as well, right?
Yeah, Sheffield looked like they could.
They're the biggest unknown, I think, heading into kind of like this last part of the season. Like they've made so many changes. Yes, you can look at me like that, Paul, but from a team that were relatively comfortable and not many changes heading into the season,
they've made a load. Yeah,
and looked like they played a different style of ball, which goes against everything that Atiba's been like. Maybe he's taken a leap out of Kapulis's book this last few weeks.
Yeah, maybe. Right, we'll have a quick break. We'll come back for the last time. We'll do our BTR 5 and then some predictions. See you in a sec. It's time for the BTR 5. We choose our 5 players that we think performed incredibly well this weekend. They don't necessarily have to be on a winning team. Who wants to kick us off?
Ooh, I can go. I watched a bit of basketball this
Go
weekend.
on then. I'd hope so. It's part of your job. Go, yeah.
Decker, 2 great games.
Yeah.
Sharma, 2 great games.
Yeah.
I would then also put in there. Wang, double with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and also 7 assists. This is where things get a bit tricky. I'm going to put Fletch in there, 21 points and 9 assists.
Interesting. I haven't even put Fletch in mine this week. Go on.
Well, he's near a double and you haven't put him in. That's very unlike you, mate.
I didn't see that game.
Okay, fair enough. And then I'm kind of stuck between McFoley or Teo. I think Teo's performance
was phenomenal.
Was absolutely amazing, and he did it in 23 minutes. I'm just looking at some of the stats now.
Yeah.
Where Foley did it in 33. They both got 25. So I'm going to put Teo in as my 5th. So I'm just bigging up the Surrey today.
Good. Who's up next?
I can't argue with any of that, to be honest.
I was going to go with Wang. Sharma has played really well. I'm going to show some love to my guy Aaron Menzies because he had his best game as a rider so far. He put a shift in against London.
No one going for Malcolm Smith?
No.
I'm surprised at that. He had a phenomenal game.
He did.
He was really good at shooting free throws.
I'm also surprised that you didn't put Fletch in, Pabs, because he was one of my first ones. Because he had a good...
It's only because I didn't see the game.
Okay.
Who's Joe going with? I'm curious of that as well.
And sorry, my other one obviously is
Mark Loving.
Mark Loving, yeah. And I'm also going to show some love to Nick Lewis as well.
He's been playing well. He was in our team last week, I think. Yeah.
To be fair, I could answer the BBLs because they've already put their 5 out, haven't they? So that's who Joe.
That's who Joe's going for, is it? Is that your? Were they your? Did you choose those, Joe?
I don't choose them now.
Did you do the graphic for it?
Who chooses
I
it?
didn't do the graphic either. No. I dabble in Photoshop a little bit, but not
Who
for that.
Who was in the BBL 5 again? Let me have a look because I want to see how far.
Joe, who's been your favourite player this season?
It's hard not to look past Decker, right?
Yeah,
really,
it is. It is hard.
He's just the way he gets to the basket, almost however he wants, whenever he wants. I actually liked Wang as well. I thought I just kind of loved his style. I saw him go up against VJ. I can remember one game where VJ went up, I think dunked on him and kind of gave him the kind of too small vibes, and then Paddy Wang just came back at him like 3 or 4 times and just quietened him straight back up again, and it was it was a great game to watch.
Wang this season has got to be one of the high contenders for the almost, if only, including the end of that game against the Caledonia. Did he go for a windmill at the end? On the buzzer?
I mean, he's had several spectacular misses this year.
Clanging off the back iron and pinging back to half court, yeah.
The one in Manchester, I have never seen a ball go that high for a missed dunk.
Didn't he go straight to Taj Green? He ran down the other end and slammed it himself.
Yeah, but it literally touched the ceiling of Bellevue before he came back down with snow on it. You know what I mean? It was like, wow.
It wasn't a dunk, but we had a Wang moment at Pavilions where we did. Chucks up a half-court buzzer beater. Say buzzer beater. There's like 2 seconds left. Chucks up from half court. It goes in. Everyone's like, "Wow!" LVC douche like giving that ball. Chucks it up from like 3/4 of the court.
It went in.
That goes in on the buzzer, just to say, "Nah, mate, you're not having your moment."
He had a big one in that game as well. I think Shaquem Johnson did, where he just sailed down the lane, looked like he was going to stuff it on someone, and it just came off the back iron.
BBL 5 is Wang, McFoley.
Well, that's fine. We'll do L5 instead. Blah, blah, blah.
That's Sharma. It's not far off.
That's fine. Well, we're ours. So going on the numbers, because I'm very similar to everybody else as well, with Decker, Sharma, Wang. I did have Malcolm Smith, but I got Teo as well. So we've got Ramon Fletcher, Teo, Ogundembe for an outstanding shooting night. We've got Paddy Wang as well, Josh Sharma, and Sam Decker. Sound good?
Yep.
Can't argue that.
Not a bad 5, is it? Which leads us to that part of the show that's probably what people tune in for, to be honest. The predictions. Predictions time. Cue the music. Let's go through just how wrong we were last weekend.
I don't think I got any.
So we all picked the Gladiators. You got the Gladiators for the trophy game.
Oh yeah.
We then all picked the Flyers over the Eagles. 3 of us picked the Lions, but Ads went for the Riders, so he drops one there. We all went for Gladiators over Scorchers, so we don't get anything for that one. Ads was the only one to go for Giants over the Flyers, so he's the only one who gets points.
So we're even. All of us are even right now.
Lions was myself and Nicholson. Gladiators was Ads and Grant. Oh. And we all took the Knicks, except for the wishful thinking of Mr. Grant Young.
Ooh,
so that makes things quite a Grant. You're
not a good week for me.
Just 88 now for Grant. Nicholson, you are on.
Oh, give it to me.
84. You're only 4 points behind. Grant. Ads, you're on 82.
Oh, he's coming from nowhere.
And I am on.
I'm just clutch.
Oh, I've got to double check that. Hang on. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. 86 for me.
Oh, it's getting tight.
How good is that?
We need a prize for the end. What's the prize going to be?
Ask the marketing man there. He's got some merch. I'm sure he's got some BBL merch he can put up.
Can the BBL donate a prize?
T-shirts, actually, which I could highly recommend.
Game on. So there's literally Ad's 82, Nichols on 84, I'm on 86, and Grant's on 88. That's amazing, isn't it?
What week are we on? Like week 23?
23, I think. Yeah,
and it's that close. That's class.
It's a big week, boys. This is a big week.
Good work, everyone. Antro's still on 6, Josh still on 6, and Io still on 5 from way back at the beginning of the season.
Hey, anything could happen.
Yes, anything indeed. Right, so 10th, 11th, and 12th, I think we're looking at. What's the what day is the 15th? Is that Wednesday? Is that Giants? Is that a Wednesday?
Yeah.
I think we got to go from just 10 till 12.
Yeah, okay.
That's what. In fact, if you're on the front page of the BBL website and go down, we should just work off what's there, which is 10th till the 12th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, we'll do that. So let's first on the docket then. Eagles at home, Leicester Riders, the visitors. The old, it's not even old, is it? The kind of champions derby that it once was. Maybe not this season so much. Well, I'm going to go Riders on that. Ads, my man.
The Riders.
Grant.
Riders.
Where I suck my teeth and try and put people off, right?
You should throw your hat in the ring for this. You can't do any worse than
that's a bold move from a BBL member of staff to make predictions. Especially if
the league's fixed.
Especially if Dave's listening.
Not getting involved.
Grant Young, people think the league's fixed. Brilliant. All the bridges we've built.
I'm not zagging on that, guys. I'm Leicester as well.
No, I'm meaning from what we've talked about.
I know. You going to throw your hat in, Joe, or you just going to...
No, I'm going to be a silent observer.
All right. You can tell us who you think
for a podcast, right?
So you can tell us who you think is going to win overall. Sharks at home, next fixture. Sharks at home. Gladiators, the visitors. Ooh. What could have been the final?
Well, that's tricky.
Grant, mate.
Gladiators,
of course. Nicholson. Oh, he's drinking vodka and orange juice. It looks like now. Go on.
No, it's just orange juice.
Whatever. Alki.
Why have you got to go to me next? I was seeing if there was a zag moment.
Changing the order up, man. Come on.
Yeah, I always go early. I don't get the chance to zag ever.
I actually think Gladiators are gonna bounce back and get a win here.
Ads, Glads or Sharks?
Joe told me that Caledonia win this game.
I'm going to zag. I'm zagging. I'm going Sharks. I don't necessarily think they're going to win, but I'm zagging to try and pick one up. Last game on the 10th, the Friday, that'd be, wouldn't it? Oh, is that the Giants, the Sky game, Ads? You going to try and get your little face on Sky?
Yeah, why not?
Are you announcing?
No, I'm off duty this week. I believe Vince's son is the MC this week.
Oh.
He's very good. Very good.
Giants at home then. Lions the visitors. Ads, mate. I'm going to you first.
You know what? I hate this. This is the part that I hate.
Embrace it, Ads.
It's a Sky game. I mean, look.
Surely he has to choose Manchester. We always choose our teams.
I didn't.
Well, this is it, and it's obviously getting to the business end, and I'd love to win the predictions trophy this week.
I'll go down. I'll go down Trago Mills and get a trophy. Nicholson knows what I mean.
Get like a WWE style belt.
Get a belt. It could be done. I could do that.
Look, man, we're short staffed at the moment. It depends if Kofi's playing. Oh, what the hey! Giants for the upset.
Oh. They're on good form. Let's not forget that. They've really put something together.
I know they are, but we've only got 3 players at the moment.
Yeah, but you've had
his training this week.
You've just beaten.
You say, am I involved? I'm on the bench this week.
They've toppled the team in second. They've had a huge boost in morale from the legend that is Fabulous Flournoy. Let's not forget that. It's had an impact. There's every chance. That said, I'm going Lions, but Grant.
Oh, 100% Lions.
Lions.
You're not zagging, Paul, no?
No zag on this one. I think
I could even put Joe down for Lions on this one, even if he doesn't say anything.
I even think Lions are going to look at it and go, hold up, Manchester won last week with low numbers, so let's not take this for granted. And
it's Vince, man. Yeah. There's history there. Let's go to the solitary game on the Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, 6 p.m. tip-off. Surrey Scorchers at home. Sheffield Sharks, the visitors. This is hard to pick, isn't it? After what's been happening with the Scorchers. God. Nicholson, you can go first. Huh? I went first on the first one. Nicholson's turn now.
I'm going Surrey on this one.
Ads, my man.
Yeah, I'm going Surrey also.
I think this is a tough week for Sheffield.
See, I was going to go Surrey, but that would leave the easiest zag in the world to Grant, so I'm going to go Sharks.
Yeah, I was going to choose Sharks anyway. I feel like, hey, see if Surrey can play like they did and score as well as they did, then...
Consistency, yeah, that's been their issue, isn't it?
So I'll go Sharks.
Oh, here we go. Here's the one. Here's the payback. Ads, my man. You got the big call for the Giants. I don't even know why I'm billing this up as if Nicholson's not going to choose it. Nicholson, Patriots at home, Lions the visitors. What are you going for?
Yeah, I think Patriots obviously favourites going into this game.
Couple of players difficult to scout.
No. I won't go against him. I won't go against him. Patriots.
Good on you, Grant.
London.
Ads, my man.
London.
I got to go Lions, I'm afraid. I'm too close to the top there. I'm trying to catch Grant up.
I actually, not because of this prediction, but I generally think that London have got a tough 4 games in this week.
Well, if they choose to rest some players and the Patriots' new guys hit the ground running, it could be interesting. Oh, we've got a reverse, what do they call it online? Scorigami? Reverse fixture here. Leicester Riders at home. The Eagles visiting after playing each other Friday night. They've got to do it all again in Leicester. Where should we go first? Grant, my man.
Riders.
Once upon a time, that would have been like, what a weekend that would be. Yeah. What a weekend. The Eagles are playing the Riders back to, and this is going to sound like a real dig on the Eagles fans, but they have struggled this season. I'm going to go Riders as well. Ads, my man.
Riders.
Nicholson. Have we got a zag?
No, not at all.
I was setting that up for you to zag.
No, it was a morale defeat to Bristol, wasn't it? And to play Leicester twice, that's tough.
That is a tall order. 2 more fixtures for us to do. Sharks at home, Surrey Scorchers, the visitors, another. Hang on, have I read that right? No, I'm on the wrong bit. I am on the wrong bit, ignore me. Gladiators at home, Manchester Giants, the visitors. That's a tough one to call as well, isn't it? Well, Grant, you're going Glads, aren't you? I'm assuming.
Correct.
Ads, my man, you going Giants?
Yeah.
It's good. This is making for good podcast material. I haven't frozen. I just don't know what to pick. I go Gladiators.
Oh.
Nicholson?
Oh, he's muted. It's the best time ever.
Technically. Gifted.
You've got a guess now. No,
the media man. You going Giants?
Yeah.
Oh, it's split. Love it.
It is. It is a split. Exciting times. That means one way or the other, things may change. I keep scrolling down too far. Last one, I think.
Correct.
Cheshire Phoenix at home. Bristol Flyers, the visitors. Flyers. Maybe looking to. I'm going to go Flyers on that one, even though they're away and have lost to the Giants recently. Ads, my man. Tough one, isn't it?
Yeah. Flyers.
You go Flyers. Nicholson?
Yeah, I think big win hangover for Cheshire, and I'll go Flyers.
Grant? Who's you going to zag?
See, I was going to go with the fact that they've not had a game for a week and that helping them not have that kind of big game hangover. So I was always choosing Cheshire for this one. So
there you go.
Hey, that's a big prediction.
Interesting stuff. Right, there we are. Who do you think is going to win this week, Mr. Edwards, sir?
Grant, you're winning at the moment, right?
He is. He's 2 up on me, and I'm 2 up on Nicholson, and Nicholson's 2 up on Ads.
Okay, I'm going Pabs then.
Oh!
I'm going Pabs.
Oh, that feels like a victory in itself. Good. Well, there you are. Have you enjoyed being on the show?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Keep doing it, guys. It's great. Really enjoy listening to it week on week. So yeah, definitely keep up the good work. And looking forward to catching some of you at the trophy.
Well, Grant's going. I'm still trying to sort that out. I've got 4 days to sort it out.
Well, I hope I'm going. I'm waiting on Joe approving my accreditation. So
do what happened at Birmingham where he's not allowed it.
That was funny. Free Grant Young. Travelled from another country and everything. Unbelievable. little passport in his hand. He's like Paddington Bear, weren't you?
Love it.
I was worse.
Did you have your jam sandwich? That's what.
Yeah, I was just going to say. No, it's marmalade sandwiches.
Marmalade sandwich under his hat. Yeah.
Marmalade. I should have known that.
Under his hat. There you go. Right. Anything to plug before we go, Ads?
No, don't think so. It's been fun. I'm gutted that I was late joining, but
it's not bad. You get a good listen. Yeah, you get a good listen.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Yeah. Mr. Young, sir.
Yeah, I need to try and get some content out from Gladcast this week. We've been away. I'm hopefully still trying to get Pharaoh on and hopefully with a couple of the WBBL stuff. Plus, going to try and ramp up some pre-final stuff as well. So, come for me. I've got one last question for Joe, though, an easy one.
Go on.
He doesn't like that. Obviously, the cup final was a massive success. What can we expect from the trophy final then? Like similar kind of setup in terms of razzmatazz?
Yeah, I think so. You definitely expect the similar sort of setup that we had. I think we've got a pretty good halftime show.
Oh,
love it.
Which I've heard about. No, not giving anything away just yet.
Oh, no, could have been exclusive.
No, promo. No, almost. Yeah, similar setup. I think it's going to be really good fun. I'm genuinely really looking forward to seeing the Scottish crowd kind of get behind their home team. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see.
A big send off for the last trophy final ever, yeah. Oh, nearly.
Ooh.
And also because that'll be probably the Gladiators or the franchise's last game out with a final in the Emirates in the big hall because obviously we're moving to a new facility. So yeah.
Really excited for that new facility as well. I mean, I've seen some of the pictures and imagery and that kind of stuff, and looks like it's going to be a cool venue.
It's also 5 minutes closer to my house, so even better for me.
That's why they did it.
They looked on the map, didn't they? And went, "Oh, Grant's there."
They've just slowly brought it back closer to where I am. Braehead to Kelvin Hall. Kelvin Hall was a bit of a nightmare because it was in the city. Emirates was good, but East Kilbride's just perfect.
Good work, sir. Mr. Nicholson, anything to say before we go?
I would like to promote the Patriots podcast at some point.
I've got to get that
coming out again?
Soon. I've got to edit a bit out. I've got to edit some bits in and out, but it's soon. It's in the inbox.
No, we filmed a podcast with the announcements of 2 of our new players, so that will be coming out soon. Looking forward to that one.
No, we'll make sure to listen.
Game on. We've got some little excerpts from us wandering around the pavilions pre-game.
Forgot about that. Yeah, we started walking around with dictaphone around the pavilions and just like
interviewing various people
to speak to us.
Mr. Edwards, Joe Edwards, thank you very much for joining us. Have you got anything to plug before we go? Any exclusives or?
No, I mean you've been eking exclusives out of me all day, or at least trying.
Yeah.
No, just obviously we've got the trophy final coming up. Really excited for that. Excited for the playoffs, obviously, as well coming up, and yeah, I mean, just watch this space with everything that's coming. I would say I think there's some very big, exciting things happening in the BBL at the moment.
Absolutely. We don't get to see you in front of the camera much. I fear if we did, there's a very much a likeness of a kind of Chris Martin, Guy Ritchie kind of look to you.
Thanks.
Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Yeah. Don't you think?
If anyone
Guy
ever
Ritchie,
said to me,
young Guy Ritchie, obviously.
But if anyone ever compared me to Chris Martin from Coldplay, I'd be like, well, you're banned from every game that you ever want to go.
Oh, that's harsh.
I get Jensen Button quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Legendary. Anyway, thank you very much for giving us your time this evening and coming on.
Appreciate it, guys, and thanks for inviting me. And hopefully I'll come back and maybe give you an exclusive at some point.
Oh, yes, please. That'd be great.
Yeah, save us one.
We're not often the first to bring you news. We like to think we bring you it in a specific kind of way, but we're never first. We've got some new logos going out there as well. I'll plug a few things before we go. We've got new logos going out there with an idea of getting them on T-shirts and hoodies and whatnot, and getting the merch kind of side of things up and running. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, they're on our social media. There's some team-inspired colours. I quite like the Bristol Flyers one, if I'm honest, the pink and dark blue. That's quite nice. But there's that there, and also, if you want to win one of those, you have to take part in weekend fantasy till the end of the season, and I mean playoffs as well. We are going to run weekend fantasy basketball. You will basically we'll put a list of games up where you can pick players from. You pick 5 players, you make one of them your captain for double points. It's all done on index score, and we'll keep a running total as we go from now to the end of the season. And if you finish up on top for that one, you can choose one of the colourways from our logo in your team favourite, or even the below the rim colours if you so wish. But we're going to try and get those sorted out in terms of merch and up and out there.
I want a below the rim hat. That's what I want.
Hats, we can do. I have to talk to my man Ads about hats. Hats is
we're on it. We've
got some good hats from Ads. It's looking all right, isn't it? It's not bad. We've also got some images of various BBL players, and we're going to do a kind of stock design across the board related to that. So look out for that. There'll be a couple of players from each team that we're looking at doing. But it's all coming. It's all in the pipeline. But the logos are there. You can see those. Have a look at those. Thanks to BBL Daily, Matt from BBL Daily, for that as well. He did a lot of groundwork for that, which I'm very grateful for. So yeah, there we are. There's another show in the bank. Thank you very much, chaps, for joining me. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening. We'll be back next week for more of the same. Until then, take it easy. We'll speak to you soon.